On this flotilla, we will have 4 cargo ships and 5 passenger boats. Our cargo ships will be loaded with mainly rebuilding supplies and education supplies. Rebuilding supplies because in December and January 2009, Israel unleashed its massive firepower on the Gaza Strip, destroying thousands of homes, schools, mosques, hospitals. After this massive destruction, and the Israeli authorities have not opened the borders of Gaza to allow people to import the supplies that they need to rebuild. And so people are still living on the rubble of their homes. That also the Israeli authorities don't let into Gaza. Wheelchairs, motor scooters for the disabled, and basic things like toys for kids. Palestinians in Gaza aren't allowed to import toys for their children.
Jerusalem has said that it was just trying to protect its borders and its citizens, and that the flotilla was actually on a mission to discredit the state of Israel. What do you say to that?
I think there are many things that need to be said, and there has to be serious thought given to what's happened. Let's start from the basics. Israel was imposing an illegal blockade on Gaza, what was called by Amnesty International last week a flagrant violation of international law. The United Nations Committee of Elders, people like Nelson Mandela, Desmond Tutu, they just distributed a statement today in which they called the blockade of Gaza one of the worst human rights violations in the world today.
On this, Israel really doesn't want peace. There have been so many chances over decades for something reasonable to happen. Mm-hmm. What Israel wants is territory by any means necessary.
Well, Israel's government needs a constant state of fear and enemies to keep their people in line.
Oh, absolutely.
Just like the United States has been doing since 9/11.
Number 2, Israel attacked a humanitarian convoy in international waters.
But this is what I want you to think about. The federal government of the United States of America is an accessory to this crime, because the U.S. taxpayer paid for all the weapons and ammunition and helicopters and body armor and everything that Israel used to commit this atrocity. Every country whose flags were over those ships now knows that Israel has committed an act of war, and they're looking at their governments to say, what are you going to do about it?
But to me, the more important question is this. Namely, during Israel's massacre in Gaza, December 2008 and January 2009, afterwards, Israeli officials were saying that they wanted to show the Arab world that they were capable of acting like a lunatic state and like mad dogs, that they wanted to restore the Arab world's fear of Israel, and that's why they acted like a lunatic state and like mad dogs in Gaza. But after yesterday's events, we really have to ask the question, is Israel acting like a lunatic state, or has it become a lunatic state? Things are getting out of control. We have to ask ourselves a simple, basic, fundamental question. Can a lunatic state like Israel be trusted with 200 to 300 nuclear devices when it is now threatening its neighbors, Iran and Lebanon, with an attack?
Okay, Mr.
These
Finkelstein.
are serious issues.
Mr. Finkelstein,
now,
I'm afraid we're going to have to leave it there, and we will have to wait with interest to see what comes out of that UN emergency meeting.
We have an act of war committed by Israel against American flagships in international waters. If the president and if the federal government do not respond decisively to this challenge, then it should be obvious to everybody in the United States of America that the federal government is Israeli-occupied territory. We are now all Palestinians.
Absolutely.
We have a government that is going to spend all of its time and energy taking care of the ruling class of Israel, and everybody else gets to move to the other side of the wall.
With the color-coded license plate.
with the color-coded license plates.
Yes.